Hi, this is Stacia, and we're going to continue with another attacking idea. So this one, Danny Gormley calls Queen Breakthrough to H7. And it actually features a rook sacrifice because once the queen gets to the H7 square, it's usually lights out for the king. So here we go. If you'd like to pause your video and solve this yourself, go ahead and do so now. And okay, it's rook takes f7. This is a beautiful move. Let's put on self-analysis. Oh, it screwed it up. Okay, we'll leave it like this. All right, so this is a beautiful move because, well, you really can't refuse the rook, first of all. I'm threatening queen h7, and with the rook here on f7, that's going to be checkmate, and I don't see any way to defend against that, so we're going to take the rook. It's pretty much the only move. And now the queen appears on h7. So this is nice. Now, you'll notice that this often happens when we have a pawn on g5, a very strong pawn. Notice this probably used to be the h pawn. You know, it probably came up and captured something. Maybe even one of our pieces. So we may have sacrificed material already. But this pawn is doing a really nice job of restricting the black king, who is now basically trapped inside a box with the queen. Yeah, the wrong color queen, right? He's not too happy to be in here with this queen. So, okay. Black has to get out of check. There's only one move, and that's king f8. So this is forced. And now we have a couple checks to look at. So yes, we do have queen h8 check, but we also have rook f1 check. And, you know, I'll just say on general principle, even without calculating, it's almost always better to bring in another piece into the attack. You want all your pieces working. And so this rook comes over, rook to f1 check. And now you can see that the queen has covered everything on the g file and the rook is covering everything on the f file. So this would be checkmate, except for one thing. There's a blocking move, giving away the bishop. But we can simply take it with the rook. And now this is in fact checkmate. Notice the queen actually is guarding all the way to the e7 square. So checkmate. All right, so let's have a look at an example of this attacking motif in an actual game. Okay, and here's our example. And this is the game Mihails Bogorads versus Dieter Wilk in Gladenbach 1999. And yeah, what a position. So terrifying, right? I mean, first of all, everything's hanging. Like this bishop and this knight are both hanging. The queen's actually hanging. And this pawn is hanging. And this rook is undefended. But aside from everything hanging, I feel like there's one huge thing going on here. And that's these three pawns. They're just so strong. 3 connected pass pawns, and they're far advanced to the 6th rank. So it's no wonder that white has a devastating attack here. Okay, but let's watch the attacking motif in action. So I'm going to show you the move now, and if you'd like to find it for yourself, go ahead and pause the video now. Okay, so the move is queen f4. This is played in the game, and this is beautiful. So the idea is that we're going to play queen h6, queen h7. So it's basically what I would call a queen invasion move. But also we're going to land the queen on h7, and that king is going to be, if not checkmated, very scared, right? And running away in terror. So queen f4 is a beautiful move. Now I do want to note that queen f5, offering a queen trade, like white's position is so good this still wins. I'll just show real quick. Like even if you give up the bishop, black has this extra knight, but he's way off sides and these pawns are just too strong and white is winning here. Computer says plus 24. But okay, we're going to look at the move queen f4. In the game, black played queen takes here. I think the reason is black realized they need to defend this square because otherwise the queen's going to show up there. And so he wants to play queen d7, but he can't. So I believe that's why he took the pawn. But truth be told, I don't see a plan for black. So queen h6, proceeding with the plan to land the queen on h7. And of course that would be checkmate, by the way. But now if queen d7, white has this move f7 check. So this is nice. Suddenly the king has no squares at all. The queen's guarding everything, and the pawn is checking him. So the only thing black can really do is take the pawn. And now we have g takes with check. And the king can't even run this way because of the queen. So he's totally trapped. The only thing black can do now is take this. So this is just winning. White is up a queen. That's good enough for me. All right. But in the game, instead of queen d7, this was played. Rook takes f6. So, yeah, I mean, if you were calculating this line from the start, let me just put it back to here. I mean, you have to be willing to say, I'm going to play queen f4. They're going to take one pawn. I'm going to play queen h6. They're going to take another pawn. You know, it's like you're giving up your big advantage for a better advantage, which is a queen on h7. So, okay, let's catch up. So it was queen f4 takes, queen h6 takes. Okay, and yeah, we're going to go ahead with our threat. Queen h7 check. Now there's only one move for black, and that's the move king f8. And now I guess the point, and that's the move g7 check. After this, black is, well, black was already done for, to be honest, but black is totally just getting crushed now. So the king actually has 3 squares, but all of them lose to the same move, and that's a g8 equals queen. So we'll look at them real quick. If here, g8 equals queen, I mean, what does black do? You pretty much have to take it, right? I guess you could try this. Kind of funny. But here I would go here, I think. Should be good enough, right? Because we're up a queen still. All right, and if king e7, now it's discovered check on the king. So the only thing black can really do is run away or block. And of course this is losing. And the last one is here, which is kind of funny. So this is g8 equals queen checkmate right away because the queens guard each other, and yeah. So there you go. The queen on h7 was the right plan. Now there is one other last attacking idea. I need to show this video because it's a cool part of the reason I picked this example. In the book, they give another idea as well that's also winning. Okay, so let's go back to the start. So after queen f4, queen takes here, there is another plan. So instead of queen h6, you can do the king walk variation. So, and believe it or not, the king's actually going to end up on the g3 square where he gets mated. So I'm hoping to see more variations like this in my own games, and I hope you do too. So I'm going to show you this one. It starts with the move f7 check, and of course the king is going to come up to g7. And here's where it's nice to be aware of all your pieces. This bishop can now come back into the action. Bishop e5 check. Now the king is essentially trapped. The only move he has is to take this pawn. Okay, and we're going to play queen g3 check. And now, again, I think the king can't really move. The rook's guarding all these squares. The queen's guarding all these squares. And if he were to go to h7 or h6, I'll play queen to g7 checkmate. So for that reason, black has to block with the queen, but we don't want to trade queens. We're going to play here, queen d3 check. Okay, now notice how the bishop and the queen are coordinating very nicely. And all right, so let me see the move that is given now. I think king h6 can be played, but he's going to get mated here. Like if here, maybe this is good. Rook f6 check. King g7, yeah, and we could just win the queen. So if that doesn't work, then pretty much got to march up farther. We're going to go queen d2 check. So again, if back, rook f6 check. Not so bad. So he's going to go, let's see, king h4. And do you see the next move? Check with the bishop. Now he's forced up. And now be careful, right? Because if you play queen f2, thinking it's checkmate, the bishop will take you. So we can't play that. So we're going to play queen e1. And actually, this is just about mate. The only move is to block with the bishop. But now it's queen takes f2. Checkmate. So that's the king walk variation. So I hope you enjoyed this. I thought it was an interesting motif, and we'll go through the actual game one more time just for fun. So it started with this really nice move, queen f4. We're simply going to do a queen invasion and put the queen on h7. So black was desperate and took the pawn. We continue here. He takes another pawn, and then we play check. The king moves out, and now this is devastating. g7 check, and no matter where the king goes, I'll just do the simplest one. We're going to play g8 equals queen, and this is checkmate. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll be back with more. Thank you. Bye.